Call of Duty is a first-person shooter that has you shoot other people. The game is known for being some of the most longest ongoing franchises in the history of gaming. Whether you like or hate it, it's no doubt impressive that Call of Duty still manages to be relevant even after all these years, even if some of the games they made were, questionable at best. So naturally, being the behemoth that it is, there is no doubt a lot of games out there that try to replicate its success. And oh boy, they're not very good. Some of these games can range from being somewhat decent to literally just having under 100 ratings on their game, as well as the game in general just being really poor. What makes these games even stranger is that there's already an official Call of Duty mobile game, so you'd think there wouldn't be any reason for them to exist, but nonetheless they do, and today I want to play some of these various games I found in the App Store. So without further ado, let's take a look at generic Call of Duty clones. So the first game we'll be playing is Modern Black Ops Fire Mission, a game where you go into a warehouse and shoot a lot of bad guys. Scrolling down, the description of this game says, like FPS online shooting games, jump into the modern critical strike battle and unleash your intense fire action skills to strike down your enemies. Oh god. So loading into the menu, it's about as typical as an FPS mobile menu can get. So basically, this game works as a leveling system, the task being goals like rescue a hostage or kill a certain number of people. Spawning into the first level, I immediately noticed a really huge issue, and that there were way too many buttons to click on in the HUD. Now, most mobile games in general tend to suffer from this, but having too many buttons on your screen can really make the gameplay more complicated than dynamic. But whatever, what's the story like in this game? Well, not really good. Loading into the first level of the game shows us a cutscene, which consists of some flyby shots of key areas, as well as a shot of some random girl running from the FBI. Yeah. And now we're in the game. So basically around the map are a bunch of spooky agent men, and the goal is to go around the area and kill them. So the shooting in this game is, what a surprise, really bad. Not only does the gun you have a weird recoil, but the game also has a really high sensitivity that you can't change in any way, making the game really hard as you try to aim for the bad guy. There are also iron sights in this game, but they also prove to be difficult to work with. Now, of course, if this stuff is just too hard for you, then you can also just let the game play for you and put autofire on, which basically has the game fire the gun for you when you look at an enemy. I don't know why so many mobile games do this. Having the game play for you should really just make the gameplay more boring than actually exciting. And it's not like the audio assist was 100% perfect either. When killing a guy, the game still seems to think that the ragdoll is alive, as the game continues to shoot the body until it despawns. This is annoying as the gun can deplete its ammo really fast, resulting in me having to turn away from the body as quickly as I can. Another problem as well is the deal with your knife. When equipped with the knife, it will proceed to swing at the enemy at any distance, even if you're nowhere near the guy to begin with. A problem that this game also has is the movement. In this game, there is no walking option, as no matter how close you are to the joystick, the character will always run, making most encounters really awkward as you accidentally run straight into the middle of a battle. It also isn't smooth when you try to follow your partner that, unlike you, actually walks. And speaking of partners, you have a friendly AI in this game, to which he is kind of strange. When loading into a map, there will be an occasional soldier to come help you out, and I say that very vaguely. In most encounters when you usually have a soldier, it will just run straight into battle, guns blazing, as it tries to kill all the enemies, of which it horribly fails to do so. And in other cases, it just kind of forgets where it is and just stands still for the rest of the match. Strangely though, it seems as if the bot is actually invincible, being able to take at least a few dozen bullets before dying, which is kind of strange. And also, the fights between the bot and the bad guys just look really goofy. The bad guys in this game are okay, I guess. The pathfinding on their AI seems to be fairly decent, as they tend to move around anywhere they go. With that being said though, the AI in most cases are just really weird. They tend to crouch up and down occasionally, as well as constantly scream the same voice lines over and over again. It also doesn't help that every time you get too close to them, they kind of just give up and stand still. When the enemy shoots you, they usually only do about 2 to 3 damage when hitting you, and that's even assuming they hit you, as even at point-blank range, they somehow appear to miss you. So as a result, the gameplay is now really boring because now there isn't really much of a challenge in this game, as it's practically a chore to try and die in the levels. The ragdolls in this game, when they die, are really glitchy. Half the time when you try to kill someone, they tend to just become a Gmod ragdoll and fly all over the place. Other than that though, there's nothing really much else in the gameplay. There are other objectives in this game like defusing bombs and rescuing hostages, but that's about it. In the menu, there's your typical elements that you would normally see in a mobile game. like microtransactions, privacy policy, and a lot of rewards you can get from clicking ads. When you win a match, you are rewarded money and can use it to spend on weapons. The weapons being an MP5 and a couple of grenades. But like, why bother? The gun that we have by default appears to be some kind of SCAR, an assault rifle that is logically way more powerful than the MP5. So even if I did have the money to buy it, I would only be downgrading myself. There's also a lot of grenades in this game that can easily wipe out a handful of people. But considering all of the mechanics in this game, like the awkward movement and the bad sensitivity, you're better off just shooting the enemies with your gun. You can also jump fairly high in this game, allowing you to go up on high locations to try and shoot down the bad guys. Though I did notice that if you ram yourself in this corner of the barricade, then you can end up flying really high for whatever reason. Looking at the game on the App Store, it appears that this game has over 15 ratings with a 3.9 star average. Now, perhaps I missed some really lore-changing stuff in this game, but I decided that I'm not going to play any more of this. Each level was pretty much the same, the AI was really weird, and the game was all around just kind of bad, so don't play it. So the next game we'll be playing is Modern FPS 3D Shooting Squad, a game that has just 2 ratings that rounds up to a 1.5, with the only review saying that this game is utter trash, so you can already tell this game is gonna be interesting. So basically, this is sort of like the last game where you are put into a level and you have to kill a certain number of people in them. The people in question being some kind of weird counter-terrorist. Yeah, so despite this video being called Call of Duty clones, this game seems to be a breed between Counter-Strike and COD, as it's visually a lot more like Counter-Strike, but the gameplay is more towards Call of Duty. So I guess you got clickbaited. Sorry. So an annoying thing about this game is that it likes to spam ads whenever it has the opportunity. If you do anything like click on the menu or complete the level, it will start to play an ad about some crappy gambling game. Oh my god, no way! She's getting thousands of dollars every second! This totally isn't fake! As well as having a lot of ads, this game also generally has the same problems like from the last game. Like having an autofire on that, unlike most games, you can't actually turn off. Or at least I couldn't find it anywhere in the settings. And the game in general just having awkward movement controls. The weapon that you start with in this game is an MP5. But by winning each level, you are rewarded cash money that can be used to purchase other weapons in this game. You also have a pistol in your second slot that strangely seems to not have a firing penalty, as you can spam this gun really quickly. So upon getting a headshot in this game, the game will suddenly turn slow, giving you some time to plan ahead. But like, it's not really that necessary. I mean, I guess it's cool, but the enemies you fight in this game are never really in a group, as they are generally more split apart. So making the game go slow-mo when it doesn't need to be is kind of annoying. And speaking of the enemies, they're also kind of weird. When they spot you, they will stand still and shoot you infinitely until you eventually kill them. When they shoot you, they don't really do that much damage, resulting in yet again more boring gameplay, as it can take up to half a minute for just 2 guys to kill you. And even when they do kill you, you don't even get to see how, as another crappy ad will play. Yay! In the game, there are 4 maps that you can choose from. The maps being Desert, Snow, Castle, and Industrial, with the 2 maps Snow and Desert just being clones of the Dust 2 map from Counter-Strike. The castle map is naturally, well, a castle that can be climbed over using ladders. Though the ladders in this game are really crappy, as it's really hard to control the movement when going up, kind of like Counter-Strike's ladders. There's also the industrial map, which takes place in some kind of abandoned factory, where there are doors where the soldiers will clip their guns in. In each map, there are dozens of levels you have to complete, with the numbers being the number of enemies you have to kill. This game also tends to have numerous amounts of buttons littered across your screen, most of which barely have any purpose to them. And yeah, that's about it for the gameplay side of things. Other than this game being a mix between Counter-Strike and Call of Duty, there isn't really much else to say in this. There's elements in this game like daily rewards, yay, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Looking at the App Store, it's worth pointing out that the preview shots of this game are just pictures taken straight from the real world, with a HUD PNG being slapped on top of it. And yeah, the one review this game got isn't exactly lying. Reading the description, the game says, "Enjoy the endless war and battle in this easy and play mission-to-mission and fighting game in which you have to eliminate all the enemies in order to survive the war." That was a mouthful. So, in conclusion, unless you're criminally insane, you probably shouldn't play this game. So, don't do it. So the next game we'll be playing is Call of Zombies Darkest Night. Classic zombie mode, Darkest Night survival game. Hold your gun and start hunting infected zombies of Dark City. As a commando, it's your duty to save your nation. So basically, this game is like Black Ops Zombies, but worse in pretty much every way. There isn't even any menu or overview of some kind. You just click the game and you're pretty much in. Once you're spawned in the level, the zombies will begin hunting for you. Thankfully for you, however, you are equipped with a Tommy gun with 99 bullets and proceed to go guns blazing. And that's pretty much the entire game. So you know how in most zombie games there are a few levels to choose from? Well, this one just has one, being a small street in some city at night. In each corner of the map, there are spooky skull spawners that spawn in the zombies. The zombies being either a hospital worker, a citizen, or a random bulky demon. And naturally, the goal in this game is to see how long you survive. There are no waves in this game, just a high score and nothing much else. So with that all in mind, it's not hard to see why this game is really lacking, as the gameplay is just you walking around one street, killing zombies for 100% of the time. And strangely, despite this game wanting you to survive as long as you can, your weapon has limited ammo, and you have no knives or any other weapons of some kind. So when you run out of ammo, you're basically screwed. There are also other controls in this game, like jumping, sprinting, and using iron sights, but they're pretty much redundant since there's rarely any use for them. And yeah, that's pretty much the entire game. This game isn't even really that bad, it's just really boring as there's just one level with repetitive gameplay. There was also a point where I jumped on this platform, making the zombies AI really confused.
Remember, no rushing. Hi, I am real after all.
Looking at this game on the App Store, it's kind of surprising to know that this game has over 2,000 ratings with a 4 out of 5 star average, which is kind of shocking considering how boring this game was. Oh, and also the last update that this game ever got was over 3 years ago. So this game is pretty much dead. Well, that's about all this game has to offer. Let's just move on. So the last game we'll be playing is Call of Army World War II shooter game, which basically puts you as a soldier in World War II, and you go around shooting random troops. As you can imagine, being a mobile game, it doesn't really try to replicate the feeling of World War II. Now, this might come off as surprising, but I actually wasn't alive during World War II. So maybe this game accurately represents it, maybe it doesn't. Spawning in, we are tasked to go around shooting random people, while in really flat maps. Before loading in, there are two modes that you can choose from, that being advanced or basic. But no matter which one you choose, the soldiers won't really be that hard, which I'll get back to later. So the maps in this game are interesting to say the least. They generally tend to consist of flat lands filled in with random buildings, which results in the map just ending up looking like Minecraft. It's really strange too, because you think there'd be at least some kind of background scenery, but no, the ground is simply just a flat square. And the enemies, they're kind of weak. This is a problem that seems to happen with most Call of Duty clones, but for whatever reason, the bullets that the soldiers shoot you with are literally Nerf darts, as they generally tend to do about 1 damage to you for every 5 shots, making the game, again, really freaking boring. And keep in mind, there was an advanced mode for this, but even playing on that, the soldiers barely posed a threat to me. The objectives in this game are also pretty bleak. Most of them have you go around shooting a certain number of people, but on occasion, there will also be objectives like assassinating a commander or whatnot, who for some reason is hiding in a corner. There's also other objectives in this game, like rescuing hostages, and that's about it. There really isn't anything badly unique about this game that has already been talked about in other games. There's auto-fire, there's crappy AI, microtransactions, and all around the game is a stealing pile of garbage. What else is new? The description of this game is already really boring. Your duty? Lead battle in a World War offline shooter game. Like, dude, I don't care. But hey, maybe World War II is like this? I don't really know. I wasn't alive at the time, so who am I to say about the game's immersion? So let's just end this game here. And that's all the Call of Duty ripoffs I'll be looking at in this video. Now, whether these games are Call of Duty clones or just generic shooters, it's very clear that some of these games are just really bland. In almost 90% of them, they were usually either really bad, had repetitive gameplay, or just didn't really have an overall good idea. What's even stranger about these games is that there's already an official Call of Duty app. Now, if we were in the year 2019, there would be a reason for these games existing, as Call of Duty at the time didn't have a mobile game. So these clones, while bad, did kind of have to exist for players to have the next closest thing to COD. But now, here in 2022, Call of Duty has their own mobile port, and it's basically the most accessible game on the planet. So the clones of the game are now just redundant. Before I go, although I have mentioned this in my Counter-Strike video I made a month ago, if you want to know the music I use in my videos, there is a playlist for all of them down in the description, which not only makes my life a lot more easier, but also yours too, since it's now a tad bit better to navigate through the songs than, say, scrolling through all of the music links inside of the description. So a win-win basically. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you sometime in the future. Goodbye.